All right then, so now what we have to do is, so let's get back to our project browser and go to your GitHub profile. So GitHub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a private repository. So click new repository over here and give a name for this as full stack app store build December 2023 React JS and Firebase function. That's the repository name I'm going to use. So give a proper naming conventions so you will not get confused by the time in future, right? So click this private repository. So if you wish to add git ignore file and everything, so we don't have to do this stuff and everything, because basically when you're downloading the React or Firebase functions, git ignore file will automatically come along with that project setups and everything, right? Those initial files and everything. In this case, all I have to do is to keep this as a private repository. That's up to you, but I'm going to keep this as a private repository. Public, if you wish to keep it as a public, please choose the public. So choose the private and click the create repository. So that will create this private repository. So if you configure everything properly, as I said before, like configure username and the email address and everything globally by inside the git bash, now all you have to do is to get back to the git source control and initialize this repository. So click this initialize repository and give a message. Let's say add project initiated, something like this. So click this star tick mark, so that will push all the details and everything into your GitHub, right? Once everything is done, all you have to do is to click this three dot and click remote, add remote. For very first time, it might ask you to sign in, authenticate yourself to your GitHub. So Visual Studio Code asks you to authenticate two different times. First time is to log in your GitHub, and second time is to authenticate your Visual Studio Code to give the complete permissions to access your git controls and everything, right? So you have to do the same thing for two different times. For very first time, if you're configuring a GitHub with the Visual Studio Code in the local machine. So click the add remote option and click add remote from GitHub. So if you do everything properly, so now you should be able to see that. So now what we have to do is to click this GitHub, the repository which we created. So choose this repository and give a local git name. Let's keep the same name, full stack app store December 2023. I think that name is enough. So click enter. So now we successfully connected our git remote with our local project. Now all I have to do is to push this project. So click this three dot again and choose this pull or push option. Under there, you can see this option called push to. So click this push to option. So that will allow you to choose the remote where you wish to push it. So click this option. So that will push the code to your GitHub. So before pushing your code and everything, so please make sure that you have these sub files inside the client folder, as I said. Only if you have, then you might able to see those two different folders over here. So click this repository again, and there you should able to see this client and server, and you can see the readme file is updated perfectly. So you will have the complete information about this project and everything, right? So far we successfully created our project structures, and we successfully formatted the GitHub formats, and we successfully pushed our first commit. We made our first commit in our GitHub repository just by using the two different folders and everything. So the next what we have to do is to go ahead and start working on the project one after another. So just follow me from there. So we are going to create a React project, and we are going to configure the Tailwind CSS framework with our React project. All right, so that's what we are going to do next.